Hello and welcome to what is the 5th episode of the Fussball and Calcio edition of a Clear and Obvious podcast. And in a week that saw Calcio marred by coronavirus.
And a week where Bayern get a narrow win on their 120th anniversary.
This is a Clear and Obvious podcast. Yeah, unfortunately, so this weekend's Serie A fixtures have been, well, the large majority of them in the Lombardy region at least, were all postponed due to the outbreak of the coronavirus. Italy actually has the highest rate of coronavirus at the minute. I'll go on to talk about that a little bit more later, but it's been an interesting week in Bundesliga as well, hasn't it, Sam?
Yeah, no, very interesting. A lot of high-scoring games and some controversial games in between.
Completely, yeah. But we'll kick things off with Serie A, as we always do. Again, this week saw 4 of the games postponed. Atalanta Sassuolo, Torino Parma, Hellas against Cagliari, and Inter versus Sampdoria, all postponed due to this outbreak of the coronavirus. So I'll take you through what our first section of the podcast is, the 3 of the best. Again, there wasn't really going to choose from here. And we're going to kick things off with Spal, relegation doomed, I'd say, hosting the champions. And it was never destined for a Spal win. In fact, it was actually closer than I'd anticipated. Juve beat them 2-1 in the end. And they dominated, so Juve, this is actually dominated the early goings of the game. They looked good on the ball. They dominated possession throughout the entire match, but particularly early on, they asserted their dominance. And yeah, no, they looked good starting things off. Their link-up play was a little bit off the mark, I'd say, but as a whole, they played fairly well. Dybala had an early effort. Trademark of him cutting onto a favoured left foot and sort of clattered against the bottom of the post, and that really, set the early warning signs for Spal. And then Ronaldo thought he'd broken the deadlock about 20 minutes or so in. He had a goal disallowed for offside. But then just on the brink of half-time, they finally broke through with Ronaldo again firing home from a Cuadrado cross. Cuadrado this game was actually really bright and lively. He missed a pretty easy chance and missed it quite badly. But aside from that, he looked bright and quick going down that right-hand side. And he played fairly well as it goes. But yeah, no, Ronaldo finishing off what is now his 11th game on the trot, scoring in those games. And yeah, no, that put them in the deserved ascendancy, I'd say. And yeah, going into the half, Juve 1-0 up, not as convincing as Juve fans might like. While their performance was good, they'd rather obviously be a few more goals up against a Spal side that have notoriously shipped goals all season and look destined for the drop.
But you keep bringing it up.
Well, they do, yeah. Well, they are destined for the drop, aren't they? As much as you don't like it, they're going down, Sam.
Yeah, fair enough, but you don't have to mention it every 2 seconds.
Well, they're going down, I'm sorry. It's just, it seemed fitting, but apologies. Anyway, yeah, second half came round, but much of the same Juventus dominance. Spal just sort of sitting on their laurels, looking for an opportunity to counter-attack. And they kind of broke through with the odd counter-attack, but there was nothing concrete, nothing to give them any sort of major chance at any point. And yeah, it was just more of a Juventus onslaught, really. And then at about the hour mark, the Serie A's top side added to their lead through Aaron Ramsey's chipped finish. It was a lovely little finish, actually. Just his second goal of the season in the league, and that put them 2-0 up. And from here, you think, okay, Juve might add a couple, go on and continue to score more goals. But actually, it was Spal who bounced back just sort of 10 minutes later. He showed some signs of life after getting the ball into the box, and I think it was, I want to say, Misiroli. Misiroli, I think, got brought down in the box for a penalty. Went over to VAR, and in a bizarre fault with VAR where the screen wasn't working, you could see the little HDMI sign come up, and neither was the connectivity to those in the VAR room, so the referee had to use a walkie-talkie. And clearly he couldn't see it himself while going over to the monitor, so he was informed that it was probably a penalty. Penalty was given. Andrea Petagna converted the penalty, and he brought some life to the last half an hour of the game. And then Juventus, they weren't necessarily pegged back at all. They continue to dominate large swathes of possession. They look very good. And there was never a real threat from Spal. To be honest, it was nice that they got a goal because, I mean, it wasn't necessarily deserved, but it made for an interesting last half an hour's viewing. But yeah, no, Ronaldo free kick actually, nearly at the death, went in, hit the bar. And that end of the game, 2-0 Juventus, 2-1 Juventus win away at Spal. And yeah, your Spal looked all right. I mean, they weren't playing Brian Dabo, so they were always doomed. But yeah, no, as a whole, they looked decent. Patania got into the game quite well. But yeah, I mean, thoughts on?
The gap is just getting bigger and bigger. It's not ideal. I mean, they're 8 points away from the 17th team, Sampdoria. Yeah, it's not looking great. Probably down at this stage.
Yeah, no, it's really not. It's not looking brilliant, to be honest with you. And they do, as I've said before, look destined for the drop. They're going to be in Serie B next season, I'm pretty sure of it. One thing that we didn't actually bring up on the last podcast, which we probably should have. So that's on me, that is. But they actually sacked their long-time coach who brought them up from Serie C to Serie A, Leonardo Semplici, in the week, and we just didn't mention it. So we're mentioning it now. They sacked him. They brought in Luigi Di Biagio, who
one of the greats.
One of the greats, yeah. No, he played for them, I believe, but I don't know an awful lot about him. But the first 2 games they haven't won, and they do. They don't look amazing, Spal. Which is a shame because they looked all right last season, but this season they sort of dipped a little bit, which isn't great to see. But yeah, no, as a whole, Juventus definitely deserve this win. And yeah, I think we move on to the next game, which is Genoa, who hosted Lazio.
Ooh.
Yeah, well, this was your surprise prediction, and it nearly came off. To be fair, the scoreline does somewhat flatter Genoa. They definitely deserved a couple of goals, but at the time of the game, it makes it look a lot closer than it was. In reality, Lazio were 3-1 up into like the 90th minute. But it finished 3-2. Lazio opened the scoring very early on from an Adam Madisic goal, with ball put through to him by Caicedo. He's sort of running through, 2 defenders coming in on him at once, and he just bodies them both out the way. It looked like the Hulk running through, and he sort of slips and hits it into the top corner. So yeah, it was good, well played from him. Very good goal. A trademark of Lazio's fast attacking play all season, and they've done fairly well at that, and this showed it really. Then there was a couple of yellow cards that came after that. It became quite a tasty affair, pretty feisty. Lucas Leiva and ex-Atalanta centre-half Andrea Masiello both grabbing a yellow card within minutes of each other. And it just turned into kind of a cagey affair. But the ball, after the second half, broke to Ciro Immobile, who did the business, opened up his body, put it into the bottom corner. Looked very good. Good finish, standard from him, really. But then just 5 minutes later, a Francesco Casata goal put the cat amongst the pigeons, because it was actually a really good goal. It was a ball played to him by Peter Ankerson, opened up his body again, maybe sort of 25 yards out, and just sort of effortlessly curves it into the far corner. Very good goal, and that gave Genoa some much needed life in their play. As a whole, Lazio probably deserved the win. Genoa were peppering them for a little bit in the first half, but second half they didn't offer an awful lot. And then a Danilo Cataldi goal put Lazio 3-1 up. Again, a deserved goal, to be honest with you, on the balance of play as a whole. It was a free kick, really good goal. Sort of put it over the wall, dipped straight back down. Brilliant finish. Keeper had no chance. And then a penalty was given away in the last minute. A Domenico Crescito penalty, something that he's become trademark of, scored to set up an interesting last few minutes, but Genoa couldn't unfortunately find that goal to peg Lazio back a little bit, and Lazio continue their both unbeaten and winning run. As a whole, again, Lazio probably deserved to win this game, but yeah, I mean, I know Genoa look good, and they have looked good a lot since trying to, escape that relegation zone. They've been playing fairly well under Davide Nicola, but as a whole, they probably didn't deserve to win this game particularly. But yeah, as I say, the scoreline made it look like it was closer than it was, but in reality, they scored like the last minute. Your prediction didn't quite come off.
I think that was close, to be fair. As Genoa look at the moment, quite a good team, to be fair. I keep saying to be fair, but yeah, Genoa look decent. And would you tip them to avoid the drop?
Yes. So, I mean, we'll talk about it a little bit more later, but looking at that drop zone, they're currently in 18th, but Sampdoria are struggling. Lecce got battered, despite me thinking they might win. Torino. Udinese haven't won in a long time. So I could see them clawing their way back in it. They won't be caught by Brescia or Spal. So, yeah, that last position in the relegation spots really does look like it's up for grabs. But, yeah, Genoa should avoid it. I reckon it'd be, as I said before on the podcast, huge if they did go down. But yeah, they should have the quality to avoid it. Shall we move on to the last of the three of the best?
Yeah, sure.
So, the last one, I haven't included the 4-0 win in this, but I've put in a game that was pretty controversial for a number of reasons, so I'll run you through those. Big game with two of Serie A's historically biggest clubs. Fiorentina hosted Milan. It finished 1-1, but on the balance of play, Milan should have won this game. Fiorentina didn't look up to their best. They didn't look up to the, as well as they have done in recent weeks under Iachini. Unfortunately, my Castrovilli didn't have the best of games. He was pulled off at about the hour mark, which was sad. But yeah, no. As a whole, Milan probably deserved the win. About half, they started off very well, had a few shots on goal. And then a ball was played into Zlatan on the edge of the box. He takes a touch. Sort of kind of shoves Dalbert out the way, takes a touch between the two defenders. Cáceres tries to make a slide tackle, only slide tackles it back into Zlatan's legs and he puts it past the keeper. Really good goal. Referee goes to VAR, sees that as the ball's coming to Zlatan, it's hit his arm despite his arm being right down by his side. In fact, if anything, it was in front of his chest, but it hit his arm nonetheless. And due to the rule, the goal was disallowed for handball, which at the time seemed ridiculous. Fiorentina, prior to that, though, actually had a really good chance through the aforementioned Castrovilli. It was Donnarumma who was messing around with the ball. With his feet, Donnarumma, he's poor. I've been trying to think of the one real criticism I've had of Donnarumma, and that one criticism is his distribution. When the ball comes to his feet, he's so slow on the ball. It's not even as if he's trying to do skills. He takes an absolute age on it. There's just no need for it. He got caught out. I believe it was Cutrone who came through. There's a shout for a foul, but Donnarumma should have dealt with it. Played it back to Castrovilli just as Donnarumma was getting back into his goal, but he blazed it over, so that was a bit sad. But there we go. Donnarumma did then have to come off for injury after about the 50th minute for Asmir Begovic.
The man with the legends.
Yeah, a lot of you. I can't lie to you. It wasn't until fairly recently I realised he was actually at Milan on their bench. I was like, I had no idea he was there.
Didn't he join in January as a replacement for Reina?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. And that was what I just realised because it's only just been January. But yeah, no, he got his opportunity, came on, and, well, 4 minutes later, Milan score. So that's the answer. Begovic is the answer. Yeah, no, it was a scrappy goal. Poor defending. Again, Cáceres didn't have a brilliant game. He tries to chest it out the box instead of actually clearing it. It's almost like he's trying to play FIFA and like dribble it out of the box. I don't know what he's really doing, to be honest with you. But yeah, the chest touch was too hard. Goes into Rebic. Rebic scuffs his shot a little bit, but then actually deflects again back off of, I believe, Cáceres. Puts it past Dragowski. He had no chance. Then Dalbert, to add insult to injury to Fiorentina, gets sent off after Zlatan Ibrahimovic is clean through. Dalbert brings him down. It's not too blatant, but Zlatan does that clever thing that strikers do, and he runs across him. Dalbert kind of reaches out an arm, but not an awful lot. Referee initially gives a yellow card. He's advised by VAR to go and have a look. He has a look, gives it a red. Right decision. VAR used correctly using the monitors. Premier League, take note. Then, yeah, Cutrone... then had a little run through, was put through by, I can't remember who exactly it was. I want to say it was Pulgar who put him through. But yeah, he was running through, and he's shoulder to shoulder with Romagnoli. Romagnoli's on the inside, Cutrone's on the outside, running shoulder to shoulder. Romagnoli leans into him, Cutrone leans back into him, and because Cutrone is not very tall, he leans in, or big at all, leans into Romagnoli and just flies off. They're both kind of stretching their arms out, but it's very 6 and 2 threes. And the referee gives a penalty. Despite VAR checking it, the penalty's still given. And there's an angle from behind which just shows how much of a ridiculous decision it was, because they're both, literally, it's the prime example of shoulder to shoulder. I don't get it, personally. It was massive 50-50. Katronic just wasn't big enough. And then, unfortunately, not unfortunately, but Begovic couldn't save the penalty that Eric Pulgar put just past him. He was unlucky, really, wasn't he?
Yeah, he couldn't have saved it. I mean, he did get a hand on it, but it was a bit too much. There was too much power on it for him to really do much about it.
Yeah, completely. But yeah, and then Fiorentina saw out what was actually a lucky draw, to be honest with you. I fancy Fiorentina's chances in this game, but they just didn't show the attacking quality that they have previously. Defensively, their frailties are still very prominent. And yeah, Milan, they dominated possession, but they've done what's so characteristic of them this season and not been able to convert that into too many chances. They dominated the game, maybe sort of 60% possession, but at the end of the day, Milan definitely deserved the win, but they couldn't quite get it. The other results in Serie A then, on the Friday we had Brescia, who hosted Napoli, and despite going 1-0 up, fell 2-1 to a Fabian Ruiz screamer, as well as an Insigne goal. Then Bologna hosted Udinese. They drew 1-1. A Kaká opened the scoring there, but Rodrigo Palacio, in a bizarre goal at the death, after a missed overhead kick, ended up scoring. Really weird goal, that one. And then the last game, which actually links me quite nicely onto my player of the week, was a Roma 4-0 battering of Lecce, who have been brought right back down to earth. They were on a 3-game winning streak prior to this, despite being in a relegation zone. They went to the Stadio Olimpico and got absolutely mauled. Didn't really create an awful lot of chances, to be honest with you. And yeah, that was pretty much it. So I'm going to go on to my player of the week. This week, it's not actually coming from either of the games that I've put in the 3 of the best. It's coming from the Lecce Roma game, and it's Edin Dzeko. I had my criticism for him the other week when they played Atalanta, because he was isolated quite a lot, playing into 3 at the back. But against Liverani's side, he decided to play 4 at the back, and this gave Dzeko way more license to roam. Hold-up play was immaculate. It was really good. Ball was put into him. He had Under, he had Mkhitaryan. I believe he also had Pastore running off him, I want to say. But no, he had a good... Pellegrini. He had Pellegrini running off him. And he had a lot of support this game, and it showed. He got a goal, he got an assist, and he got a pass to assist as well, which was trademark of his hold-up play. Brilliant, caused Lecce nightmares at the back. A team who I've always said are weak defensively but decent going forwards. Unlucky to not get a goal in this game, actually. Lecce, Lapadula hit the post. But yeah, no, the 4 goals came from Under, Mkhitaryan, which is the assist from Dzeko. Then Dzeko scored and Kolarov got the final goal. And, well, what does this mean for the league? I hear you ask. I hear the cries.
What does this mean for the league?
There we go. Thank you. This means that Juventus maintain top spot, just 1 point ahead of Lazio. It's getting really tight up there. Inter, because they didn't play, slip even further back. They're now 5 points behind Lazio, but their game against Sampdoria will be played at some point. Presumably they can play it. Atalanta, again, they didn't play, but they still stay 3 points ahead of Roma despite them winning, and obviously Roma have a game in hand on them. Napoli move up into that Europa League qualification place with Milan just behind them, but then again, Hellas and Parma didn't play, so they both drop out. This is all impacted so much by the coronavirus. It's unbelievable. And then relegation-wise, Spal again maintained that propping up the league. Then Brescia, then Genoa sitting that 18th spot. Game in hand on Sampdoria have a game in hand on them and are 1 point ahead of them. But that game in hand is against Inter, so there's probably just maintain a 1 point gap there. Then Lecce 2 points ahead of them, and then Udinese and Torino, who could well be dragged into it as well. But yeah, no, as a whole, this weekend was a really weird one, because I remember when... So I didn't really know until you told me. You rang me up being like, Archie, the games for Serie A have been postponed. And I knew they had a lot of cases of the coronavirus there, but my slight problem with them completely calling it off is it's like what they did with Calciopoli, the scandal around match fixing and paying referees, is that they overreact massively, and the Serie A is very prone to doing this. It often overreacts at the time to something that isn't massive. Don't get me wrong, the coronavirus is huge, and it's very contagious, but you can play these games behind closed doors. And the one that I really didn't understand, so they initially cancelled the Atalanta Sassuolo game, the Hellas Verona Cagliari game, and the Inter Sampdoria game. But then on the Sunday, the game that was scheduled for between Torino and Parma. They cancelled that one as well on the day. Like, why would you? I mean, I don't get why they didn't cancel it before.
No, it is crazy, and the Serie A just, I don't know, they need to find a way for it to continue while maintaining the health of all the people involved with the football clubs. But at the end of the day, when there's something as terrible as this, sport has to take a back seat.
It does, yeah, but I don't think so. The issue is not with the players necessarily; it's with the fans, which is why. So they've got the game again. Inter have got a game tonight hosting Ludogorets in the Europa League, and that's being played behind closed doors. We've both seen the images of the Ludogorets players arriving with masks on, so there are precautions and gloves. Yeah, they come in like looking like proper surgeons, and it's. You do need to take precautions, sure, but I think cancelling all those fixtures was a mistake from Serie A, because that does mean they're going to have to make them up elsewhere. And so at the minute, it's just restricted to the Lombardy region. There's a lot of restrictions on people in those towns and cities, including Bergamo, actually leaving their homes. And it's hugely serious. They're trying to clamp down on it massively. Word has it that they're going to be closing their borders completely at some point. People are refunding their holidays. I mean, it's really spiralling out of control. There's now 13 people that have died in Italy because of the coronavirus, which is the most in Europe by miles.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's really bad. So I do, yeah, as you say, sport does need to take a backseat. It's just frustrating as a Serie A fan to see all of these games getting postponed, and it's such a good title race on. Can you just hold it back till the summer at least? You know what I mean? Actually, no, don't, because there's the Euros and I'm going to it. Stadio Olimpico, Italy against Switzerland, June 17th.
Flex.
Little flex, yeah. I got tickets. I'm so happy. I can't wait. If it goes ahead. If it doesn't, then I won't be going. But anyway, off on a tangent. That's all there is to say on Serie A. Hopefully we have some games this weekend. The word is that there's going to be games being played behind closed doors, wherever in Italy it is. So we'll see how that all goes. But should we move on?
Yeah, no, let's move on to the Bundesliga and start with Bayern Munich. Today is their 120th anniversary as a club. They mocked that at the weekend, playing at bottom side Paderborn, who are in big trouble as to which go on for face of the drop. Despite having really good performances, they haven't necessarily been playing that well. Bayern Munich have been just magnificent in recent weeks. And it looked like it was going to be another Bayern domination. Serge Gnabry put them in front, who managed to somehow squeeze the ball into the back of the net. Despite having 4 defenders surrounding him, which was
I did that.
Yeah, neither. I mean, it was crazy. But yeah, really good goal by Gnabry. He's a man in form at the moment. Looks really good. But then Manuel Neuer made an absolutely huge mistake. He, as the sweepkeeper he is, he came rushing out of his goal when he was never going to make it. Dennis Sabeni, once at Norwich, nutmegs nutmegs Neuer before running into the box and scoring. And Paderborn had hope. Paderborn, it was a battling performance. They defended quite well, but of course, who else should it be? Robert Lewandowski puts Bayern back in front with a good goal. It was pulled back to him, and he just side foots. He makes it look a bit too easy. Side foots into the back of that really good goal, but then. I can't believe I'm saying this. Paderborn got another one back. They drew level again. One of their players had a shot, which Neuer saved well, but then Michel tapped in to make it towards Paderborn. And for a moment, I thought Paderborn were going to get a draw that they deserved in this game anyway.
And
but
I predicted.
Exactly, that you predicted as well. But no, it wasn't to be. It was the Robert Lewandowski again with the second goal in the 88th minute. Very unfortunate for Paderborn, but yeah, it was a terrific ball into the box, and he just had an open goal to tap into, and that keeps Bayern's top of the that leaves Bayern's gap to the top of the league. What am I trying to say?
They're still at the top of the league, and it maintains that.
Yes, that is what I'm trying to say.
You're welcome.
And compiles Paderborn to more misery, unfortunately. And but it showed a bit of a frailty defensively, which teams might take some confidence from, despite the fact that after we filmed this, they've absolutely just battered Chelsea. But yeah, moving on to Hertha Berlin against Cologne, a really big game for these both sides, both battling its relegation. And they both needed the 3 points. New manager, Hertha Berlin with their new manager. After coming off his first game, which was a win, they surely would have taken some confidence from that. But Cologne absolutely battered them. They ended up winning this 5-0, which is just embarrassing for Hertha Berlin, especially after all the money they spent. John Cordoba put Cologne in front. He got played through before having his effort deflect over the keeper by the defender. It was unlucky for Hertha Berlin, but Cologne were rampant. It was crazy. John Cordoba got another one, a fantastic ball into the box here, and it's a diving header, pretty emphatic, into the back of the net to make it 2. Then it was Florian Kainz, who made it 3-0 to Cologne. He had a drilled effort deflected into the bottom corner by Jarstein and it was given after VAR review, but it was just woeful goalkeeping. I mean, John Cordoba got the ball. He was he took it past the keeper before passing it to Kainz, and there's 2 players on the line, and then Jarstein had just got back, and he smashes it like low drill, like straight at Jarstein, and you think he's going to deal with this. He just ends up booting it into the bottom corner. I have no idea what he's doing, but that was embarrassing, as if it couldn't get much worse for Hertha Berlin. But it kept getting worse. Kind got his second of the afternoon over Cologne's 4th with a finish at the near post. The keeper couldn't have stopped it, but really good finish after being played through, and finished it with a Oot free kick, and it was a fantastic free kick. He edge of the box, and he just curls it into the top corner from like a central area. Really good goal, and Cologne were rampant. And with the goals of Cordoba, Kainz looked really good in this game, and Oot, who came in January, of course. I can't see Cologne going down at all.
Brilliant recently. Cordoba and Oot, both of them. Cordoba's been on great goal scoring form, so has Oot actually. He's got a couple in his last few games. They've both been playing really well.
Yeah, they've both been really good, and with the game in hand, in fact, on Augsburg ahead of them, I can't see them going down. Like, I think they might even get like a mid-table place, because they played really well in this game, and recently they've been very good. While Hertha Berlin, they are in trouble.
They've overtaken them in the league now.
Yeah, they have, and it's very dependent on whether the bottom teams can catch them. They might still keep losing, but just stay where they are. But I think they'll stay up.
Yeah,
but
they're a good 6 points off. So
exactly, they should do, but they're not looking great. And moving on to, I don't know whether this is the biggest shock of the weekend or the Cologne game was, but another 5-0, another away team winning 5-0, which is just crazy to say. Schalke entertained Red Bull Leipzig, a clash for the Champions League place. Of course, Leipzig going for the league, and Schalke got absolutely demolished 5-0 by the top chasing team. Sabitzer opened the scoring with a 25-yard screamer. I mean, really well hit. He got the ball flat outside the box, let it go out of his feet, and just smashed it. Keeper should have done a lot better. I know it's swerving, but after praising him a lot last week for his probably one of the saves of the season, Nubel has to be doing better. He just kind of I don't understand what he's doing. He was just, his arms just didn't work, and he just ends up
doesn't help when you're
just kind of falling, and it wasn't great. But yeah, that was just the start. Timo Werner then made it 2-0. He a typical Werner goal. He had the ball. He cut in from the left, and it just absolutely smashed it into the top corner. After going through a goal-scoring drought, that was really important for him as they look to push Bayern for the league. Halstenberg got the third, a header from a corner.
Was it Nkunku took the corner by any chance?
It was a Nkunku corner.
Figured I'd have a 4 in 5 chance.
Yeah, we'll talk about Nkunku later. He was fantastic. He was fantastic, though. He really was. Angelino, on loan from Man City, got the 4th, who has been really good for Leipzig. Actually, looks like a player they've been missing, and he's come in and made them look a lot better. He keeps getting forward and having shots, which is crazy. He's such an attacking fullback. He beat 2 men before firing into the bottom corner. Absolutely drilled it to make it 4. And then Nkunku set up Forsberg, who curled it to the far corner for 5. And Schalke looked awful. Leipzig looked incredible. and Schalke are definitely going to struggle for Champions League places. I can't see him getting them.
Massively, yeah. But on Leipzig, so they haven't had to rely on Forsberg as a creative force as much this season. He's been playing a lot, but he hasn't been quite as good as he has been the last couple of seasons. And I feel like Nkunku's filled in that role perfectly. I mean, why PSG got rid of Nkunku, I will never know.
Yeah, no,
it's unbelievable.
When he was at PSG, I was very surprised when he joined Leipzig. So he's a top player. And he's just proving it. This season, he has really come out of his shell and just put some top performances, some great, a lot of assists, some cracking goals. I'm thinking back to the goal against, I think it was Bayern. Am I right?
Oh, the Worldie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good Bayern.
A cracking goal, and he's been excellent. And Leipzig look very good. And if Bayern's games keep being as close as they were, Leipzig might capitalise. But yeah, that's the end of my three of the best. The rest of the fixtures, Gladbach entertained Hoffenheim in a 1-1 draw. Ginter scored a goal for Gladbach. Gladbach absolutely dominated this game and battered Hoffenheim. Plea missed a penalty. Plea had a goal that disallowed. It just wasn't Gladbach's day.
Wasn't his day.
In the 92nd minute, Ribeiro came on for his Bundesliga debut earlier, and he scored a header at the far post at the 92nd minute to equalise, breaking Gladbach hearts. Bear in mind they deserved to win in that game. So much, very unlucky. The next game, Freiburg played Fortuna Dusseldorf. Hoffmann opened the scoring for Dusseldorf, his first goal since April 2013. Before Tommy got a second. Well, a very strange goal. Scored while Freiburg centre-mid Hoffler was on the toilet.
Bizarre, that.
Yeah, it really was. He just
did a Jason punch him?
During the game, he ran over to his manager and asked him something before going down to the dressing room, and everyone. And during that time, it was when it was poor from Freiburg. They had a corner, and Fortuna Dusseldorf counter-attacked and got the second goal of the game. Dusseldorf looked pretty good. To be fair, they under Uwe Rosler, they've definitely improved since their last manager, and it's a huge win. It's another huge shot this weekend, with Freiburg looking pretty good this season, despite having one of the smallest budgets in the league. Freiburg always seem to comfortably beat the drop, and this season they've been pushing for Europe in a way. They've been near the European places, but yeah,
they've faded a little bit now.
They have faded a little bit, and Dusseldorf capitalised. The next game, Werder Bremen played Dortmund at home.
I don't think you've mentioned Dortmund once prior to this. This is impressive.
I know. What can I say?
Keep up the good work,
Werder Bremen entertained Dortmund, having beaten them in the cup previously. Dortmund were looking for revenge, and they got it. They won 2-0. Zagadou scored, and Haaland, whom I might have talked about a bit actually before. But yeah, it was a fairly routine win for Dortmund, with the team who scored the most goals in the league against the team who conceded the most. So it was just it was easy for Dortmund.
I thought a slaughtering was incoming, so 2-0 was actually kind of disappointing.
Yeah, so it was just an easy game for Dortmund. The next game, Leverkusen against Augsburg. Again, not too much to say about this. It was a 2-0 Leverkusen win. Diaby opened the score for Leverkusen, as they are probably the informed team at the moment.
They look brilliant.
They look very good. Before Miri ran from the halfway line, got his first goal for Bayern. It was a really good goal, actually. He ran forward, drived. No one really close to down, which was poor, but a brilliant drilled finish into the bottom corner to secure the 3 points. And then actually another high-scoring game where Wolfsburg played struggling Mainz. Brekalo, who's been brilliant recently, opened the scoring with an absolute screamer from 25 yards off the bar. Stefan got a second before Gerhardt, who deserved a goal. He was really good. He was running things in this game. Made it 3 before Stefan with a contender for, I'd want to say, goal of the season. Not necessarily for the finish, but the play leading up to it. I mean, he got the ball. He had a shot. It fell back to him. He rouletted his defender.
This was really good. Yeah,
nutmegged the other defender and toe punted it into the bottom corner. It was just, it was basically, it was like watching FIFA basically. It was a really good goal.
What, me against you, yeah.
Brilliant. I mean, I batter you every time, but in the final game, Frankfurt played Union Berlin. Another surprise result. I mean, this weekend was full of surprises. Anderson opened the score for Union Berlin. It was a lack of communication between defender and keeper. I mean, there were two defenders that were like waiting for the goalkeeper to get it. The keeper was waiting for the defenders to get it, and allowed Lenz to slip through and play the ball across to Anderson, who had an open goal to tap it in. And that was probably the best bit of defending of the game, as it was just covered with terrible defending. The next goal was to double Union Berlin's lead, to make it 2-0, and Ndicka own goal. So Union Berlin got the ball, they crossed it in, and Ndicka dribbled it into the back of the net to make it 2.
Bizarre.
He forgot what side he was and thought, I'm just going to do some dribbling, and yeah, it went in. It was very poor. Frankfurt got a goal back deservedly. Frankfurt were not the best team, but they deserved a goal from this game at the very least. Hübner own goal was very unlucky. The ball was kind of all over the place in the box for falling to their striker, who backheeled it, and Hübner did kind of an accidental Danny Welbeck like finish into the bottom corner, and Union Berlin got all 3 points. Moving on to my player of the week. My player of the week was Nkunku, of course. He was absolutely fantastic. Everything in the Leipzig game went through him. He destroyed Schalke, and it was embarrassing. He got 4 assists and created 9 chances for his team, and that says enough, really. He was so influential in their win and was fantastic. He really was. Moving on to the table, that's just for the table. Bayern Munich sit top on 49 points. Leipzig are second on 48, very tight between those two. Dortmund are still in the race and third on 45, with Gladbach with the game in hand, of course, fourth on 43. If they win that, they go to 46. Occupying the Europa League spots at the moment are Leverkusen, also on 43 in 5th, and Schalke on 36 in 6th. And Wolfsburg are, at the moment, especially after their result of the weekend, looking to creep in there in 7th there, just 2 points off Schalke, so 2 points off the Europa League places, which could be a possibility for the club. Now going down to the bottom of the league, Paderborn are bottom on 16 points. Werder Bremen are one above in 17th and 17 points. Dusseldorf on 20 points in 16th, and Mainz are the team there looking to emulate in 15th on 22 points.
Who are they emulating?
I don't know. Or they're trying to get to where Mainz are
and
beat the drop.
Okay.
Sorry, that's what I'm trying to say.
That's all good. Sorry, I don't say anything. I just pipe up and criticise you. Apologies. Is that all we're going with the Bundesliga?
Yeah, that's it with the Bundesliga.
So
Should we move on
emulated
to our...
me there.
Brilliant. Should we move on to our predictions?
Oh, I'd more than happily do that. Would you like me to start, as you've had quite a long stint of speaking, and so have I. We've decided to, knock it all out of the park in one go this time, so to sort of switch between the two. But yeah, no, let us know which way around you want it. We don't really know, to be honest with you. We're not really sure.
We're experimenting.
We really are. We're experimenting. The lights aren't on. It's all going well. We're actually getting blinded by the studio next to us. So we've got these big bright lights because they're filming. So yeah, my eyes are hurting. But not for you to know or to care. Anyway, let's go on to our predictions. Shall we kick things off with the Serie A?
Let's do it.
Okay. So, as always, we split it up into big team, tricky prediction, and controversial picks. My big team prediction for the Serie A, Napoli host Torino at the San Paolo, assuming it all goes ahead. 3-1 I'm going with. I reckon a Napoli win will be on the cards here. I can see, Torino not doing very well. As I've probably mentioned, I'm not a massive fan of them. I reckon I still don't see Napoli keeping a clean sheet because defensively they're kind of suspect. But going forwards, they do look like they're revitalised now under Gattuso. He seems to have found his way of playing. Bizarrely, playing Insigne and Mertens actually works. It's not like they had a massive title race with those two playing. But now he's worked that out. Took him way too long to do so, but he has. They should really win 3-1. To be honest with you, they should win at all. What's your big team one?
I think Napoli are going to keep a clean sheet. I've also gone for the Napoli versus Torino game. It was, it's going to be easy win for Napoli. To be honest, I cannot see Torino winning this. After listening to you talk about them and watching them recently, they have been very poor. And you say you could see Torino scoring because Napoli have been great defensively. I don't think Torino have been great going forward recently.
Neither were Brescia, and they managed to score.
I agree that I think Napoli are going to score 3 goals, and I've gone 3-0 Napoli.
Ooh, so margins, fine margins. So I'm, oh god. So my prediction for a Torino goal. Oh, blimey. I've ruined that, haven't I? Oh well. We move on. Let's go on to our tricky to predict. I've gone with what's quite an interesting battle. 2 very out of form teams, if I'm perfectly honest with you. Cagliari and Roma play each other. Cagliari at home in this game, and I see a 1-1 draw. I see neither of them picking up a win naturally. But yeah, no, neither will keep a clean sheet because neither can defend. Roma coming off of a convincing win, Cagliari coming off of not playing. So I don't know how that'll impact teams didn't play. Would it be like an almost more of a winter break? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I don't see either team winning this one. I see a 1-1 draw. What about you, Sam?
I've gone for the big game in the weekend. I've gone for Juventus against Inter Milan. 2 of the title contenders battling it out. And I've gone for a narrow Juventus win. I've gone 2-1 Juventus. Just because their home record is incredible. They haven't lost in their last 33 home games, which is absolutely crazy stat. And while Inter look a bit hot and cold, they're lacking something. I don't know what it is. It's almost as if the Conte effect is starting to wear off them a bit. Their signings in January will help them, but they still look lacking something. And I think this will give Juventus the win. 2-1.
Interesting stat, that. Yeah, no, it's a very, very interesting stat. Anyway, yeah, it sounds like it's a stat that I came up with. Well, not came up with, researched, and you've just nabbed because you've seen my computer screen. But never mind. Let's go on to our controversial pick. I've gone with the game that you've just gone with. As you say, a massive tussle at the top of the table. Juventus looking to extend their run, their winning form. The fact they haven't lost in the first 33 home games is good, I guess. Not if you're an Inter fan like me, because I'm sat here in my Inter shirt and I'm repping the boys. I tell you what, that is going to come to an end. 33 is where it is. You look at what t-shirt you're wearing.
Yeah. Wearing a Fulham shirt.
All right, okay. Well, you need to get a bleeding Dortmund one, mate. You actually
do. I do have a Dortmund one.
You've got one with you?
Not
is it
on
at
me.
uni?
Yeah.
I need to wear it, mate.
It's like a training kit though, and it's like more of a playing shirt than a repping shirt, if you know what I mean.
Rep it. Anyway, I'm going to go with an Inter 2-1 win. You know what? I've got faith. The last time I had faith in Inter, they lost in a massive title match. So I think if I have faith in them again, they might win this time. My fortunes might change. And when they don't change, I'll regret it. But yeah, no, I could see potentially Inter just being really up for this. Juventus coming off of a midweek loss while they won in the league. They're coming off of quite a packed schedule. And Inter haven't played in 2 weeks. So, I don't know. I think Inter are going to win. 2-1. It's going to be huge. I think they're going to be up for it. Conte's going to be like a madman on the sidelines. He had a week off from like gesticulating wildly. He probably does it as kids as well. I wouldn't be surprised, like just shouting at them and stuff. I'm not saying he's like abusive, but
pasta,
yeah.
pasta.
Oh my god. Oh dear. Yeah. I reckon Inter are going to win 2-1.
That just isn't stereotypical Italian at all.
No, nice one. Mildly racist, but we move on. Who's your controversial pick, Sam?
My controversial pick is Milan against Genoa. Milan, of course, getting a draw this weekend while Genoa lost. But Genoa have showed a lot of positive signs recently. They're going to be at the drop, as we discussed earlier. It's likely that if they maintain their form, they will beat the drop. And I've gone for a Genoa away win, which is controversial. I think they'll win 2-1. I think Milan have been this season, they've just been meh. Like, that's the only way you could describe them. They haven't been terrible, they haven't been great. They've had players that have stood out, but they've also had players that have flopped. And 2-1 Genoa is the scoreline I'm going.
Yeah, I could feasibly see that happening as well. I wanted to back the boys. So anyway, shall we move on to the Bundesliga?
Yeah, let's go to the Bundesliga. And the first one, my big team prediction is I've predicted Dortmund to beat Freiburg 3-1. I think Dortmund recently have just been in rich goal-scoring form. Never mind beating PSG, who have the likes of Neymar and Mbappe up front. Just thought I'd put that in. But yeah, no, recently they have been fantastic. They have been absolutely brilliant, ignoring the result against Leverkusen, which was pretty embarrassing. They've been pretty consistent of late. Freiburg are coming off a loss, which is not great, and they've been okay recently. Of course, they are achieving above expectation again, but I think this will be a routine Dortmund win. 3-1 Dortmund. What have you gone for?
My big team game is Bayern away at Hoffenheim. I see them winning 3-1. I see Bayern extending their run of good form, despite losing actually to Hoffenheim earlier in the year. Hoffenheim have the chance to complete the league double over Bayern for the first time in their history, which should be interesting to see if Hoffenheim can do that. But I don't think they will. Coming off of a draw to Gladbach and a couple of losses prior to that, I don't see them turning around their form to one of the most informed teams in Europe. So yeah.
Would you not think though that Hoffenheim could possibly cause another upset? As I'd say this weekend they drew to Gladbach, undeservedly so, but surely that point will give them confidence and might cause an upset against the league's best team.
Yeah, it might do, as I said. It may well do. As I just explained, they beat him earlier in the season. Hoffenheim did. So I could see it happening. But I reckon Bayern will be more up for it, knowing that they got beaten by them earlier in the season. And I don't necessarily see Hoffenheim taking an awful lot of pleasure from being battered by Gladbach, despite somehow getting a draw out of it. So I reckon it will be 3-1 Bayern. What about you?
Yeah, no, I understand your point. Moving on to the Red Bull Leipzig against Leverkusen. That is my tricky to predict. And I've gone for 2-2. Both teams are on form, can't stop scoring. And that reflects my prediction, really. I think it'll be a tight affair. I would love it if this was the final score.
I would love it if we beat them. I would love it if it was a draw.
Cheers to that. Not really relevant, though, is it? Anyway, Leipzig... just despite having Werner and Kinke, all these players on form, Leverkusen have players to match. They've had Havertz, who recently has been alright, Kevin Volland, who's been fantastic, and they won their last game without Volland, which is more impressive. So I've got 2-2.
That's fair enough. Also, on a side note, can we ban that phrase?
What phrase?
The phrase that you just the one that you just said.
Which one?
It's not really relevant though, is it? Honestly, every podcast we get it. Every single podcast. And whatever anyone says, if you go, oh, it's not really relevant though, is it? Like that.
That wasn't really relevant.
But it was. It was Kevin Keegan. It was exactly what you said.
I'd love it if we beat them, but I want to draw.
Yeah, as I said. But you just butted in with, oh, it's not really relevant though, is it? Anyway, completely besides the point. I just want to get out of the way, really. I'm going to go with a tricky to predict game, which is a battle at the bottom of the table. Mainz against Paderborn. I can see both teams racking up the goals and entertaining 2-2 draw in this one. A similar score, in fact, the exact same scoreline as you just had, just obviously different game. But yeah, no, Paderborn coming off of a tight loss to Bayern, which I can take a lot of confidence out of. I can see them getting something away at Mainz, something that they haven't had in a long time, a point. And I can see us kick-starting them getting relegated. Yeah,
we say that it's going to kick-start the season every week, and we always predict.
So close.
We always predict a Paderborn game.
They were so close.
We on the podcast really want Paderborn to stay up. It's very unlikely.
Well, should we go out and see them? You know what? We're looking at games to go to. Why don't we go see Paderborn? We could become like the Paderborn fan club.
I mean, I'm going to stay loyal to Dortmund, but I would enjoy going to a Paderborn game.
That'd be amazing. All right, let's look at it. Let's get it done, because obviously our game we were looking at Spal versus Inter is now a bit of a no-go, thanks to the old bloody coronavirus. So
hey, you know what? If any sponsors are listening, you can sponsor us to do it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. If we can get sponsors, the sponsors going out there, we'll literally promote anything. We don't care. Morals go out the window when there's money, all right? Okay? If you raid Shadow Legends, where are you? All right? Literally anyone, okay? If you want to sponsor us, please give us money. Anyway, yeah. Aside from that beg, you go on to your controversial pick, mate.
Controversial pick. I've gone for Cologne against Schalke. Schalke occupying Europa League places. Early in the season, it looked like they were going to get Champions League football, but not anymore. Recently, they have been awful. I don't think they've won in the last 5 games. I know they had 3 draws. They lost last week. They lost this week. Very, very embarrassing. For a team that should be doing a lot better, and historically one of the biggest clubs in Germany, but Cologne coming off an absolutely battery of Hertha Berlin. I see them carrying their momentum into this week with John Cordoba at the front, leading them to glory with a 2-1 win over Schalke.
That's actually a very feasible result, actually. Yeah, no, Schalke on a poor run of form, Cologne banging in goals for fun.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I can go along with that. If it wasn't your pick, not that I'd seen it, I would have gone with it, but I didn't. So anyway, my controversial pick is a battle of the big boys, one that you went with earlier. Leipzig, they host Leverkusen. You went 2-2. Well, I'm going to go 1-2. I can see Leverkusen are on some incredible form at the minute. Watched the game against Porto midweek. Watched a little bit of the Augsburg game, admittedly about 10 minutes, but I did watch it nonetheless. And I can see them continuing this really good run of form and pegging back Leipzig a little bit and really pushing for those Champions League spots. And I can see a 2-1 Leverkusen win. To be honest with you, they've looked brilliant recently. As you say, one of the most informed teams in Europe right now. But yeah, that's pretty much all of it, isn't it? For our predictions.
Yeah, no.
We've done earlier than I expected.
Wow,
we've cut down on time. How we've done it? Can you give us a round of applause?
Shut up. This new format has cut down time. It's either that or the coronavirus. So
yeah, probably the most contagious disease going at the minute has probably cut down on a lot of things, including our time. But yeah, no. So that's pretty much it. What do we want to talk about for these last few minutes? Should we wing it and talk about some, I don't know, coronavirus based stuff?
Like what?
Well, I don't know. Like, okay, for instance, do you see? And I'm personally quite worried about this. The Euros games in Italy being called off. Do you see it lasting that long? And do you see like the whole of the Euros getting called off because of it? Imagine.
I could see a few European tournaments being. Why is everyone headbutt we headbutt the mic? It's either one of us every pod. Yeah. But yeah, I could see this really impacting major tournaments. And I think if they lose a venue for the Euros, I think they'll call it off.
That would be massive.
I could see the Euros potentially, if it gets worse. At the moment, it's bad, but like loads of people from different countries flocking to countries, possibly picking up this disease and spreading it back to their own countries.
But it's ironic, isn't it?
It's a disaster. It could be a disaster.
Yeah, because the time that UEFA try and implement this huge tournament that's going to encompass the whole of Europe is specifically at the time that the most contagious disease in recent memory comes into play. It's incredibly
unlucky.
It's awful
but
timing.
I could see the Euros being called off, and I could see the not the World Cup, the Olympics in big trouble in Tokyo.
Gosh, yeah. No.
I think that's off.
My summer's ruined if that happens, honestly. My summer's absolutely ruined.
What are you joking? You don't see Liverpool play Shrewsbury in a pre-season friendly?
Of course I do. But I also want to see the Euros at the Stadio. I really want to go. I've got tickets to the Stadio Olimpico. I'm honestly so excited. And if it gets called off, I'm genuinely going to cry. I'm going to be so sad. I mean, I'm not going to cry as much as those are the relatives of people that have died of the coronavirus. Like, that's a bit not great. But, like, you know, I'm going to be sad nonetheless.
You'll get refunded your tickets, though.
I don't care. I don't want to be refunded them. That's why I've bought them.
Go to the next one.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that. The next major tournament's in bleeding Qatar. So what am I supposed to do then?
The next major tournament. The next Euros isn't going to be in Qatar, is it?
No.
Where
is the next Euros?
I say this. Who knows? It could be in Qatar.
That's true. Where is the next Euros? I'm just going to have a little look because I'm not really sure. I want to say Germany? Euro 2024.
See, I think it's Portugal and Spain.
Do you think? I think you might be right, you know. It is Germany. Knowledge, mate. Knowledge. Oh, we got to go to that. That'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've done our course.
We are thinking forward quite a while. I don't really want to think these people listen to the podcast. I want to hear us planning a holiday.
No, I do. I mean, yeah, Germany's great. I like Germany, as you do as well. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do want to go to Germany. Though I want to go to Germany coronavirus free.
Yeah, that's why we're trying to organise something soon. Because you want to kind of avoid that as it goes. It's kind of worrying though, because obviously the majority of the ones in Europe are in Italy at the minute. But like you've had cases in like Spain, holiday resorts have had to be like on lockdown. France has been the guy that came over from there. It's everywhere.
Yeah, no, and England are having a few cases. We're not having a huge amount, but it's still worrying.
Yeah.
It really is. With the worst thing about the disease is the fact that the symptoms are the same as a common cold. So everyone, and they're telling people, whoever has the symptoms, to go to get it checked out. But that's a lot of people going to GPs with potentially just a cold. And what do you do if you have the coronavirus? You're just walking into a lobby full of other sick people. I'm sure that'll help their cause.
Well, the thing that they've done, and you have to laugh, because they're planning on setting up a coronavirus drive-through.
I think this is
What are they going to do? Have it next to a McDonald's? You're going to drive through, get your checkup, and grab a Mackey's afterwards. I mean, honestly, that could work quite well, because obviously, as you say, people in in waiting rooms and stuff, waiting for other illnesses, could get infected by it, and that's how it could spread. And I reckon these drive-throughs could be quite sick, literally, but they could be, pretty useful at the end of the day. Interesting to see how they get implemented, though. You just sort of, you go first exit, go to services, second service, go for more services, third service, go make sure you don't have coronavirus. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, right, we've gone on a little bit of a tangent here, I feel, because we do need to fill up a little bit of time, because we like to get it to near an hour for our OCD. So we're pushing it now, and we're going to get kicked out of the studio at some point, so I reckon we wrap it up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. It's a wrap.
It's a wrap. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. I'm sure that last 10 minutes of chat was bleeding thrilling. But yeah, if you're still here, appreciate it. We got some new stuff hopefully coming up. Hoping to get a camera in soon. That's on the not on the download anymore, because I said it on the podcast. Yeah. I've got a knack of doing this, saying our plans on the podcast that we haven't even barely organised yet. Yeah,
we're thinking of getting a camera. We're trying to get to a few European games, which we're gonna vlog.
We're gonna vlog. We're gonna be like Jake Paul. I can't wait.
Oh my goodness!
Oh my god, we can be Jake and Logan.
How is his name got on this podcast?
We can be Jake and Logan Paul. We can go out vlogging, man.
And that is why we should wrap it up now. If you want to check out our socials, mine is Tam on Twitter, SamColes2468.
Yeah, and I'm at Arch Corbett, and on BetBull I'm at Arch Corbett.
Brilliant.
Got a big winner coming in.
Gamble responsibly, of course, but yeah, in a week that coronavirus is a big topic, we're gonna have to end the positive on a sad note, I guess, unless we don't.
No, I reckon we don't. I reckon we end it on a really happy note. I don't know what happy note. I've got to really come up with a happy note now, and I can't think of it.
What's happy?
There's got a lot of things.
Not a lot of people have died from it.
Hey! Right, thank you. We can't end.
And on that bombshell,
we can't end the podcast on not a lot of people are dying. We can't end the
podcast on about 5 minutes of us deciding how to end the podcast.
Yeah, but we also can't end it.
Stop headbutting.
We'll end it on the positive of me getting concussed. Thank you very much for this.
I'm sorry, this has been an absolute shambles.
Thank you very much.
But thank you for listening, and good night.
Good night, people.